who is on the ground for us. She's at the Beatrix Gold Mine in the Free State, and she's standing by with one of the unions. Liabo?
Hello, Nompu. Yes, we are definitely in a Free State at the Beatrix Mine in Sibanye. Nompu, those are very interesting facts that Arabella just read out regarding the improvement that can happen, especially if mining companies work together with the communities. And I'd like to bring up that poll that we ran up earlier on SABC News that unfortunately shows that 77% of people look like they're not happy with what the mining companies are doing around the communities. It is, of course, in contrast to what Arabella has just alluded to with regards to the Royal Bafokeng platinum mine out in Rustenburg. And of course, we know that the mining industry employs a lot of people and is also a very significant contributor to the gross domestic product. Of course, these metrics over the years, they have declined due to a number of factors, including economic factors, both domestically and locally. And we do know that the mine workers are the backbone of any mine. And of course, if they're not there, the mine will not function. There's talks of mechanization, but you still need the human touch. This is where South African mine workers come in handy, and the fact that they are represented by unions who are constantly looking out for them, particularly with regards to wage, fair remuneration and fair working, good working conditions. I've come out here in Free State in the Sibanye Gold Mine Beatrix shaft, and I've asked one of the union members of the National Union of Mine Workers, Mr. Philip Vilagazo, who is also the deputy president of the union, to join me so that we can talk about what the workers think about their current working conditions, to talk about the mine profits versus what they get. We know that every year we see this contention between particularly the two mines, AMCU and NUM, with regards to wages, and it is never enough. Let's find out from Mr. Vilagazi why it is never enough and why they're always seeking better. Is it fair? Is it not fair? Mr. Vilagazi, thank you very much for your time. As I said earlier to my colleague Nompu and to our viewers indeed at home, is that every year we see strike happening within the mining sector, and at the bone of contention is always the issue of remuneration. Do you feel that you are unfairly remunerated by the mining sector in general?
Thank you very much, presenter and the viewers at home. Your question is very dynamic a bit, because mining industry has been here before I was born, but ever since the inception of this trade union, NUM, we are seeing progress. Of course, in an economic situation, it is never enough. Let me give you a typical example. Petrol goes up and down. And immediately that is the case, it influences everything that a person uses on a daily basis. That is why this right of negotiation is not a born right. It's a struggle right that came when the National Union of Mine Workers embarked on strike in 1987. That lasted only for 21 days, which has made the chamber to think clear when it talks about human beings. So us being in negotiations is going to be a year in, year out issue. Sometimes we sign 2 years agreement, sometimes we sign 3. Signing an agreement, from what I understand in the school fees that was paid by my parents, negotiation is a compromise position. It's not a free for all. Sometimes we find ourselves being in a position to take what we feel at that time is enough. But come tomorrow, what has been enough yesterday cannot be enough tomorrow.
What is unfortunate about these negotiations is that they always end up in violence. A particular point is what is happening at this very mine with regards to AMCU and the current impasse. We've already seen there is already a family that is in hospital. We have seen fatalities already. Is there any other way that mine unions can be in conversation with each other, with the mines, with no violence? We do understand, of course, what you're saying about the economic dynamics, that with inflation and everything going up, you definitely do need more.
Look, I'm not going to talk on behalf of anything else. I'm a leader of National Union of Mine Workers. This barbaric act that we see has never happened in our case during wage negotiations. The only time we saw people being in trouble, of being threatened, people being killed, is during the time of the apartheid era. What we see today is a fashion that we really don't understand whether it's the act that is performed by people who really think like humans. For an example, in the morning when I arrived here, the leadership briefed me, as you see in my background. They told me that 9 houses were burned. As we speak, there are 5 people in the ICU. Some must undergo an operation. Go back and look in the history. Negotiations has never taken people to ICU. It's very barbaric, it's a new thing, and whoever is responsible, the law enforcement must take its own course. Let me tell you, if you need people to be members of any burial society or anything else, don't use violence. NUM used whatever they used to make people understand that it fights for dignity of human beings, to end tribalism, to end the Groups Act, to end the issue of job preservation. Now, as I speak to you, there are mine captains, there are mine managers, there are supervisors, all lot, because the job preservation clause is not there. Ask these people who are causing death and all these barbaric acts they do. What is it that ever since they've been on strike, they've achieved? You can't say you need 12,500 in 2012. 6 years, 8 months down the line in 2018, you still need the same. Where is normality there?
Mr. Vilakazi, please give me 1 second so that I can read to our viewers the right of reply that we've just received from Sibanye's spokesperson, Ms. Liabo Setho. I have asked her about the current impasse, and she says in a WhatsApp message that that they are concerned about the levels of intimidation and violence that has led to 96 people injured, including a wife and children, and 4 colleagues who've lost their lives. They call on AMCU to respect the right to life and the rights of non-striking employees who are not part of the strike. This is a right of reply or a statement from Sibanye's communications team, Ms. Liabo Setho. Let me go back to Mr. Vilakazi and let's talk about the future of workers. Many years ago, Nompu, many years ago, I did do a little story looking at the financial health of mine workers, and this showed me that a lot of mine workers, in fact, do not use their money prudently and they end up in debt. In 1 second, Mr. Vilakazi, how is NUM working with your members to educate them about financial literacy in order to see everyone's money go a little bit further?
That is a program which is undergone. The only problem is all mine workers are indebted. You must understand, majority of employees in the industry are people who are migrants. Wherever they live, they've got a family to take care of. While at home, they still have somebody else to take care of. Yeah. And instead of saying financial literacy, it depends. Remember, if you give me 1%, it depends how much is the general overview of the money I'm getting. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Vilakazi, I'm afraid that's all we have time for. Thank you very much for your contribution to On Point this afternoon. Nompu, that is Mr. Philip Vilakazi. He's the Deputy President of the National Union of Mine Workers, and we were giving you the point of view of workers and what they make of the current impasse, what they make of the wages that they get from the miners. And with that, I'm handing back to you in studio.
Thanks, Liabo. Nice to see you wearing your helmet there, all secure. Well, after a break, we take a look at how tensions rose in Kolobeni in the Eastern Cape, and we speak to Richard Sport. He's a human rights lawyer. Do stay with us.
On Media Monitor, we leave no stones unturned.
We don't have shared principles when it comes to media freedom.
From the integrity of journalists to accusations of fake news.
If anybody comes with an alternative view, he starts referring to it as fake news.
We also look at the safety of our journalists while covering stories on the field.
This is something that we're faced with daily, from journalists who say they've been physically or verbally attacked by community members.
Watch Media Monitor Sundays at 9 a.m.
Hello and welcome to Trends Travel and welcome to 2019. We thought we'd start this year off by looking at the year that was.
Food has been something that we enjoyed at my home. My dad was a great cook and taught me most of the skills that I know in the kitchen.
So we know the year has just started and there's no reason that all your holiday makers should be stressed at all. But just in case you are, here's us taking it back to nature to learn how to relax.